Now, adolescence can be a really tricky time for all families. It can feel like we put them to bed one night and then they wake up the next day as someone completely different. We can wonder where that close relationship with them that we had, because sometimes it can seem like a struggle, it can seem like a distance comes between us and our teens. Now, there's a really good reason for this, and if you can understand that, it can make it easier to give them what they need, and also it can make our path easier because we're less likely to take it personally, even though that still might happen. Now, one of the most important developmental goals of adolescence is for them to find their independence from us. And this takes a while. Adolescence lasts from about 12-ish to about early 20s, maybe 24. So it lasts a long time. So they'll be experimenting with who they are and where they fit into the world for a long time. Now, part of this involves separating from us, or slowly, and it's meant to be gentle, separating from us, but it rarely feels gentle from our side. Sometimes the closer they were to us as kids, the harder they might feel they have to push in order to find that independence. That can feel really hard for us because we can wonder where that close relationship went. It hasn't gone anywhere. It'll be back. It's still there. It's just that they are doing something that they have to do. They're trying to meet this important developmental goal of independence, which is really important for the adult they will become. Otherwise, we will end up with 30 or 40-year-olds who are as dependent on us as children. So they really need to do this. If we step in the way of their experimentation with their independence, we're really pushing against thousands of years of evolution and will struggle more. Now, this doesn't mean that as parents we step out. We don't. They need us more than ever, and they need our guidance, and they need our support and our love, even if it doesn't always feel like they know that, but they do. So imagine it like a rubber band. We stand still, but they will stretch. They will stretch towards their edges and their boundaries, and they will find out who they are at the edges of themselves. They'll experiment with different things, and they'll experiment with different ways of being, and then they'll come back. And then they'll stretch again. They might stretch further. They might stretch in a different direction. This can be hard to watch because sometimes this behavior can be risky. And again, that's part of adolescence. They're very capable of thinking of consequences, but they tend to pay more attention to the positives that will come of a situation than the negatives. And part of this is because the part of their brain that is able to really plan and consider consequences and think rationally is the prefrontal cortex, and that won't be fully developed until they're about 24. And again, there's a good reason for this. This is because the idea is we want them to be brave, we want them to explore, we want them to take risks. It's just that we want them to take safe risks, which is difficult because it might not always happen that way. Now, we need influence. We need to let go of control, because the truth is we just don't have any. We might have the illusion of control, but the truth is, if our teens want to do something, it's more likely that we just won't find out about it. And they don't do this to be deceptive or to be bad kids. They do it because their independence is the most important thing. They're driven to do this. So the more we can be a solid, supportive presence and support their independence, the more capacity we will have to guide them through, because they'll be more likely to come to us. We'll be more likely to find out about things, and we can have that influence. Now, what does this look like practically speaking? What it looks like is wherever you can, wherever they seem to be pushing against us, or wherever they are experimenting with their independence, if you can, let it go. Just let them do it. Now, this might mean that they have different worldviews or political views to you. It might mean that they experiment with how they look, what they eat, the people they hang around, the music they listen to, the way they keep their room. If it's not doing any harm, let it go. Because from their eyes, what they can see is that we're still here, we're still supportive, but we trust them with this experimentation towards independence. We support them. We're not going to keep them strapped to us. And the more we can do that, the more influence we are likely to have in times where we need it, when they are making risky decisions or when they do need that guidance or those boundaries to be firmer. If we smother them, and it can be tempting sometimes, I know, to stop them doing things or to try and channel them in a different direction, they will be less likely to be open to our influence when we need it. So the most important thing to remember is that their drive to find their independence is instinctive. They are driven to do it, and they will do it. And some kids will have a bigger push away from us, that will feel like a bigger push away than other kids, and that's okay. They're all different and they'll all do it in their own way. But if you can understand how important this developmental goal of independence for them is, the easier it will be to let them find that and to let them explore and experiment with who they are. But more importantly, it will be more likely to give you the influence you need when you need it, because they do still need us and they do still need our influence, but it needs to be a little bit more on their terms. And if you can do that, you're giving them a really great opportunity and a really safe, solid ground on which to explore who they are, where they fit into the world, and really experiment with the young adults that they're going to be moving forward.